Ladies and gentlemen, Monitor Arms, Jedi Knights, and Pigeons. Welcome to another Timoredbeard video. This one is the start of a series. I'm going to give a little bit of a prologue here, so make sure you stay tuned. This is a new series that I'm going to be running, and it's going to last a fair amount of time, I expect, called Settlement from Scratch. And this series is going to be me starting a completely new game and taking you through the whole process in a kind of a mashup between a let's play and a build guide. It's going to be highly edited. The let's play is going to be lots of cuts, just showing you bits and pieces rather than elongated me running around farming trees, etc, etc. And then I'm going to proceed to build something in each episode. Maybe it's part of a building, maybe it's a whole building, depending on the complexity. And I'm going to keep you along the way, and you can see from the very start of the game right the way through to when I'm finished with the settlement, all of the progress that gets made, how I go about doing things, and the like. I have high hopes for this season. I think it's going to be very entertaining, and I really hope you enjoy. If you do like this, please hit that like button, consider subscribing, and don't forget to press that notification bell. I'd really appreciate it. It's shown me that you like what I'm doing here with this series. Of course, if you don't like it, then do hit that dislike button, and I'll also know that maybe this series isn't the right thing to do. Regardless, let's crack into it. Thank you so much. Let's go. This is Beard Solo. Beard Solo is an expert huntsman and a fantastic home builder. Odin has chosen him to travel to the 10th world of Yggdrasil, and this is his journey. Upon arriving in Yggdrasil, or the 10th world of, Beard Solo was hungry, very hungry. So the first thing he did was strap a bit of stone to a bit of wood, start hitting creatures for their juicy meat. Sneaking up on deer with an axe is not really Beard Solo's way of hunting things, but you have to use what tools are available to you. And if it weren't for this stinking grayling, might have had an easier time. But Beard Solo is an expert, and he still made his kill. Beard Solo knew that if he needed to make a home worthy of Odin himself, then he'd need a way to move the earth. And to do that, he'd need a hard antler. And the only way to get that, as he knew, was from the first semi-deity of the Isle, Eikthyr. To defeat Eikthyr, though, Beard Solo would need a good bow. So, he took his axe and he ventured into the Black Forest. Even against the warnings of Hugin the Raven, he got himself some core wood, and then sneakily used some other trees to get himself some fine wood. Back at the workbench, he combined the core wood, the fine wood, and some deer hide into a fine wood bow. It was ideal, and he was almost ready to take on Eikthyr, but he needed arrows. Bringing the deer heads to the summoning circle, he placed them down and Eikthyr appeared. Beard Solo was ready. He caught Eikthyr by surprise with the first shot, removing a significant portion of his health with a sneak attack, and then proceeded to run around and flail about, rolling around the ground and shooting arrows whenever he could. Eventually, Eikthyr was downed. With his new antler pickaxe now made, it was time to begin work on his home. First thing he needed to do was work out just how high the ground needed to be so that it was safe from the tide, but still accessible and not too much hard labor. Once he had figured this out, he then proceeded to flatten this ground at this height out towards the ocean, where he started building a sea wall, and then marked out how far away from the edge of the sea wall he wanted his property to start. Now knowing the space that he had to play with, it was time to start working on the first building. And of course, what proper home doesn't have a basement? So it's time to begin excavating. So at this stage, with the basement finished, we're going to start work on the timber framing, and the reason that we're going to do this is so that there's a nice amount of structural support running up from the basement, but we're also going to expand outwards once we reach outside of the basement so that there's even more structural support from the higher levels of terraforming above, creating a nice solid building with a lot of depth. While we're placing the framing down, what we want to do is make sure that there's no more than sort of 4 meters, at most 6 meters between each pole. That means we're going to have a really nice base of support stemming from the ground the whole way up. With the timber framing done for the basement, it was time to chuck in some floors and some walls, and I won't go into too much detail here. I just used standard 2 meter by 2 meter mosaic on the ground. And then for the bottom floor, or the first floor of the building, so that is the roof of the basement, I used 1 meter by 1 meter mosaic, just because it looks so incredible and ends up giving a really great feel once the build is done. Before we finish off the flooring here, we're just gonna extend out the core wood so that it connects to the raised area on the outside, which will be the foundations for the first floor of the house. Then we're going to add the walls down below in the basement to start closing it all in. And then finish off the flooring, making the basement structurally pretty much done. I think it's safe to say Beard Solo is pretty pleased with the progress he's made so far. The basement is complete, shelter is soon going to become a need of the past, on to progressing to bigger and better things. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you have enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button, consider subscribing, and don't forget to caress that notification bell. Videos like this are a lot of work, and I'd really appreciate you telling me if you really like the style or whether you don't like the style. Please do let me know down in the comments. I'd really like to know. Otherwise, do check me out on Twitch. I stream from Tuesday to Saturday, starting at 12 PM GMT. And also, if you want to support me further, do check out the Patreon in the description below. And come join the Discord. Share some screenshots. Have a chat. Anyway, from me, I've been Timoredbeard. You guys have been awesome. Peace out, and take care.